I think I should probably declare a conflict of interest to start with, in that I've had three complaints upheld against the BBC in the last 12 months. So I probably, in case anyone thinks that makes me biased, I probably ought to disclose that. This committee sits with a hat of basically representing the taxpayers and value for money. That's the reason we're here. And I mean, as the NAO says, without clear ways of measuring non-financial impacts, I mean, how can you demonstrate the savings you're making? And I accept you're making savings, Tim, but are they having a detrimental effect? And what you've talked a lot about how much you need money. And I watch Elon Musk cut the overhead at X by 80%, and arguably it's a more efficient platform. I watch my own social media output, which absolutely astounds me that so much has changed so quickly, as you say. I watch the British economy declining, and I hear you saying we need all this soft power, which can't have been helped by this Trump issue, as I'll refer to it as, which again we don't want to go into too much detail on. So I'm without the tools of actually judging what's going on here, I'm concerned that what we're seeing is a changing demographic. Young people don't trust the BBC, in my opinion. That's quite clear. They get their news and their media and their information from all sorts of platforms. Question, is the World Services audience aging? You talk about the issue of switching to digital. Are they interested in digital services, which the young clearly are? Have you got an issue with an aging audience who are effectively, whatever you do, your audience and the World Service is going to decline? I mean, these are questions, I think, with a taxpayer hat on, I'd like to know that you've thought about, because I don't think it's just a question of chucking money at it. Whenever I sit around this table, all state entities, all they ever want to do is hurl cash at the situation, hire more people. Not the digital age means you don't need to hire more people. You don't necessarily need more cash. What you need is more intellect. And the question is, are you actually able to judge? Are you able to judge that you are delivering using the digital revolution, which has changed everything?
I totally agree. And are we discussing it daily, if not most hours of the day?
But you can't judge it if you haven't got the information.
Bear with me. And I think you've touched on a number of subjects there that are important, which is firstly one of trust, which we could get to in other elements of discussion, but that is critical, of course. Critical, and holding trust and ensuring we deliver on that is sacrosanct to the BBC. And when we make mistakes, that costs us, but we work very hard to deliver against our editorial guidelines. Yep, that is important. And I would be very cautious about saying people, even groups don't trust us. That's not where the evidence is at the moment. It says it's under pressure around traditional media operations, but actually globally, among all age groups, trust levels are high, and we should protect that. I don't
think, Tim, the young don't go to the BBC.
We found in our last report, Tim, that only 51% of the young get their information from the BBC. That is a shocking statistic.
Absolutely, but 51% is something that we should be, at least we are in a position where the majority of 16 to 34s come to the BBC every week. We're still fighting that battle. Do we think we've got massive challenges like every traditional media? Of course we have. Of course we have. But the idea then you say that we do not work extremely hard, and I'll come to the team in a minute, about how do we go to where young audiences are on different. I have quite a lot of pressure to remove the BBC from X, by the way. That is not what I'll be doing, because we need to be on these platforms. We need to give quality information onto these social media platforms, bring people into it. And I actually think that's critical, because otherwise the Chinese, the Iranians, they're flooding the zone. And they're investing very hard. Separately, and it's just there's a lot in what you said, because the other thing is the efficiency of, I don't think there's any naivety in the BBC around you just chuck more people at a problem, and that's how you solve it. And but hold on, push back at me on the facts, because during this period we have taken 1,800 people out of the BBC public service, 1,800. Okay, I think we're the largest number. We've taken the number down. There's a lot of these guys have done a savings plan where we've lost 400 people from the World Service and largely kept the audience flat on the long-term decade basis. Okay, no one is more committed to. We've ripped out 700 million of cost so that we can protect our programming budgets and our service budgets while taking hundreds of millions out of our back office. Yeah, I would welcome you to wander around the World Service. And also, I've been very aggressive in terms of getting external benchmarking of our benchmark costs. Now, then we get to technology. Now, it's a bit of yes, but. Yes, when we look at AI and what it can deliver to production processes, media supply chain, we're leading edge on this. If you go around the world and talk to other broadcasters, they want to know what the BBC are doing to reduce cost in the area you're talking about. But you cannot escape that if you want to have quality editorial, quality journalism, you will need investment. And I do not think it is incompatible to say we are rigorous and aggressive on the savings front. And give me the data, because we are benchmarking, we're doing external benchmarking going to the license fee settlement in terms of, I couldn't agree with you more, in terms of ruthless looking at our resources and going to the bone in terms of people. But you cannot escape. Our service is different to X. X is a model that is contributed by the public and others to the market square where everyone shouts at each other is one model, okay? And I'm not disputing it. What we do is something different. We do quality journalism with people on the ground. The Persian service, I've got 300 people living in exile in the World Service because what they need to do, they're trying to do is do free and fair reporting. That is not something that can be replaced by technology. Now, we have to decide that, and we have to build trust in everyone that we are an efficient operation. But honestly, any benchmarks, any assessment of the BBC, I think we should be proud of what we're doing in terms of our cost base.
Well, I haven't got much more time, so I can feel the chairman itching on my left here. But I think there's a different issue between editorial product and distribution. You've got to split the two.
Okay, great.
And I think I can safely say that since the Long Parliament, the British have been very, very suspicious of monopolies. And you will be the first monopoly in history to actually dismantle yourself willingly and actually deliver value for money. So I find it very difficult. I'm very concerned that the taxpayer, as usual, is on the wrong end of this deal. And when I read this report, I'm concerned. So I think there's a lot that you do need to take account of going forward.